It's Friday. Do you know where your bass player is? Well, the last time anybody saw him, he was storming the Capitol and getting himself arrested. Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to another Friday episode of SMG Viewers Comments. This is episode number 289. Wow. They're really starting to pile up, aren't they? Anyway, just want to say thanks to everybody who's been sticking with me every Friday over the last several years doing these. These are an awful lot of fun, and I never get tired of answering your comments and questions about recording, mixing, being in a band, just general stuff like that. So if you've got something cool to say, or you got an interesting question you think the whole community might benefit, please leave it in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer it in some episode in the very near future. Before we get going, if you do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, that would be a massive help. Anyway, let's get right to it.
Glenn would love to hear input on the Spark practice amp as well if you think it could be used in studio applications. Thinking about getting one as the wife always gets pissed when I plug in the EL3400 with my two 4x12s. Oh yeah, there's a reason UPS stands for useless pieces of... You're great, watch videos all the time. Hello from Burlington, Ontario, and yeah, Habs suck.
All right, I might be Canadian, but I'm not going to get into the hockey end of that statement because I just really don't care. Anyway, as per your question, if you've got a tube amp, I might suggest something else maybe a little bit better suited towards recording, and that would be Torpedo Captor X. This will put a load on the speaker output of your amp and make it react like it's really seeing a speaker, and it's got a couple of XLR outputs so you can record and put impulse responses on and simulate a cabinet so you can crank the piss out of your amp and it will sound absolutely amazing. It will sound like a well mic'd up cab depending on the impulse response you have loaded up. Can't recommend this enough. I think that would be a better home recording solution than the Positive Grid Spark. Now, I did a video last year on the Positive Grid Spark called 10 Reasons I Don't Want to Throw It Off the Roof, and it's a practice amp and it's marketed as such. It is not a recording solution. Let me be very, very, very clear about that. It is not for recording. It's not marketed as such. That's why I did a video on it. If they said it was a studio solution, I would have probably said no way. In my opinion, it sounds okay for recording, but it's not great for recording, mainly because you can't put custom impulse responses on, and that's going to be one of the biggest factors in your tone when recording. Once again, this is probably going to be about the same price as the Spark, maybe a little cheaper, maybe a little more expensive, but it's going to be the better option for what you already have. Highly recommend getting this. Good luck, dude.
I'd love to see a would you rather. A, recording amazing musicians confined to shitty gear versus B, shitty musicians with lust-worthy equipment and best equipment. A knock against tone chasers looking to compensate for the lack of skill with a new amp / pedal / pickup / guitar / bass, etc.
Well, I gotta go for version A there. Great musicians with lousy equipment, because usually when they come into my studio, I've got enough good gear kicking around. I can say, well, instead of recording on that piece of shit here, why don't we record on this? And it's actually designed to be used in the studio, and it's actually in studio condition, so we don't have to fuck with it to get it to sound good. Still, even if a musician insists on recording on an absolute piece of shit, and yes, it has happened, it still turns out pretty good as opposed to trying to get somebody to flounder their way through their tracks. And believe me, nobody wants to sit through that crap. So yeah, I'll take the great musician with the shitty gear any day of the week.
Here's an idea for an often overlooked topic, marketing. Before doing YouTube, how did you market your studio? Any tips for reaching out and trying to bring more people into the studio when you're just starting out?
That's a fantastic question. I don't know if I should do a full episode on that or not. It's pretty easy to answer. Pre-COVID times, I would go to the band's gigs. I remember hearing about this band in Windsor called Black Creek. A few of the other groups I was working with mentioned, and so I went to a couple of their shows and introduced myself. I handed them a couple business cards, and they're like, yeah, we've heard all this crap before. I'm like, seriously, just come out to the studio, let me play a few mixes, you guys tell me. And we hit it off immediately and probably made one of the best records I've ever done in here when we did get around to recording. I think we did the entire thing in like 4 days. It was just fucking awesome. Those guys were really dialed in. That was a fun record to do. But yeah, when it comes to marketing, word of mouth is still going to be your best bet. So if you're just starting out and maybe a little unsure of yourself, go check out a few local bands when they can play live again, that is, and offer them some studio time to come in and practice on. You know, they might be down for it. Of course, then again, maybe not. Things have changed a lot in the 20 some odd years since I started recording bands. A lot of guys are doing it at home. The technology's there so they can do it at home. Starting a home studio is a big fucking challenge these days because that's exactly what you have to compete with. A lot of metal musicians especially are going to probably ask themselves, well, why should I go work with this guy when we can just do it ourselves? You need to be able to answer that question. Why can you do it better than they can do it themselves? If you can answer that and make it convincing and show them absolutely concrete results that are going to be fucking amazing, you will definitely get clients.
My big issue with Solar is they need a North American distributor who wants to pay an extra $100 plus import charges. Other than that, they seem like great guitars. I played a few of them at various NAMs and was always very happy with the sound and playability.
I really dig Solar guitars, not just because Ola's a friend of mine, but they are very high quality instruments. I really enjoy them. I think I've played 3 or 4 various models over the last couple of years. Really killer stuff. Now, I'm not going to presume to tell Ola how to conduct his business, but I think a North American distributorship probably wouldn't hurt at this point. That's one thing I get from a lot of kids who watch the show is, hey, where do I get Solars? As far as I know, the only place you can get them right now is online, and that's either from the Solar website or from the Thomann website. So if you're in Europe, you're definitely in luck. Otherwise, yeah, you might be stuck paying some nasty import fees, especially if you're importing into a country like Canada, which loves to give you nasty import fees. Totally sucks, but hey, that's just a great big lump of shit that life loves to throw at you.
Oh my freaking Lord, Glenn, I always cringe when you give opinions on stuff out of your league, like an afterlife or conspiracies. And I really tried to hold my tongue, but man, you really pushed my buttons this time.
Out of my league with afterlife stuff and conspiracies. Hey guys, want to see me push his buttons just a little bit more? Spoiler, there is no afterlife and there is no conspiracy. Please join the rest of us on planet Earth here at some time. We'd love it if you could come along for the ride.
I honestly enjoy watching your improvement over the years on guitar. It's inspiring. Shows someone can have multiple jobs, work in the studio, and still find time to better themselves.
I gotta give a shout out to my friend Warren Hewitt for that one. I was hanging out down in LA during the summer and he showed me a couple of finger exercises I could practice while sitting around watching TV and that kind of thing because I was living alone during the summer and that was no fun at all. That's what I did. I watched a lot of Netflix and practiced an awful lot of scales. So yes, it's definitely shown an improvement. I've still got a very long way to go, but thank you so much for noticing and lets me know that the hard work is paying off at least somewhat.
Hey Glenn, for a guy who's not a bassist, you are already better than 75% of them out there. I am not even kidding. Put about a month into it and you will be a pro.
Shh! Don't tell anyone!
Hey Glenn, please do a review of the Nux MG300 modeling effects unit. One of my friends uses one through a 6505 effects loop for preamp modeling and its effects sound pretty good for $150 he paid for it. It's supposed to have a similar technology to that of smaller fractal units, both with less effects and such.
Hey, Eric, thanks so much for writing in. That's actually a pretty good suggestion. That might be something I want to check out at some point. The question I have for you is why the hell is your friend modeling a different preamp when he has a fucking 5150? That really doesn't make much sense to me, but if he's using it for effects like, delays, reverbs, that kind of stuff, I can definitely see the allure there for sure. I don't know, never tried it. It definitely sounds like something worth checking out. Maybe I'll reach out to the Nux people and see if we can do a video or some sort of collaboration or something. We'll see what happens. Once again, thanks for the suggestion. And as always, I put it to you guys, if you have episode suggestions, please leave them below. If I think they'll be of value to the greater community as a whole, I would love to do those episodes.
Hey Glenn, greeting from Burlington, Ontario. What is a good bass and bass amp for playing live on the cheap? I'm in a metalcore band as a bassist that is still in its formation stage. I've never played a live show before, and I don't know my gear isn't anywhere near as good enough to get the job done. Any recommendations?
Well, dude, you're in Burlington, Ontario, which means you're Canadian, which means you have a Long and McQuaid very close by at some place. A lot of the Trader bass amps, even some of the combo amps, are absolutely fucking fantastic for entry-level stuff. Would definitely recommend checking something out there. In fact, I would recommend maybe even renting something if you don't want to drop a whole lot of money. McQuaid's is very good for equipment rentals. You might just luck out there. So that would be my first suggestion. Go rent a bass amp, try it out, see how it goes, that kind of thing. That being said, I just started talking to the people at Hartkey. And if I pronounced that right, I hope I did. Anyway, I hope to get some of their gear on the show, maybe some entry-level stuff, see what we can come up with, see what's super affordable and sounds killer. I know there's some great Trace Elliott stuff out there as well. I was playing with some of their stuff at Summer NAMM, like one of the little green fucking amps that's about yay big. It's a Class D amp, it's like 300 watts and weighs like nothing. sounded pretty fucking amazing on the show floor anyway, and hopefully one day I'm going to get to put something like that on the freaking show. Now, more bass stuff is coming, so please make sure you subscribe to the show. I would be more than happy to check some of that stuff out and make some recommendations. Thanks so much for asking. Watch for that in the future.
Hey Glenn, longtime viewer and appreciator of your scientific approach to things like your tube test. A few VC episodes back, which one escapes me, you mentioned something about taping off strings you aren't using. This may seem like a stupid question, but do you literally mean, for example, taking off the E, B, and G strings if the riff you're playing only makes use of the E, A, and D strings? Or do you mean something like putting a bit of foam behind the strings on the headstock? Cheers from Scotland.
Oh, I literally mean taping off some of the strings. Usually when it comes to doing, simple lead lines or something like that, where you got to do some sustainy bits or maybe some bends, I'll tape off like the top 3 strings, right around the 12th or whatnot, to keep them from flapping in the breeze as, the musicians playing up here. I got the idea from Metallica doing the Black Album, the film Year and a Half in the Life of Metallica. I highly recommend this for anybody doing home recording. If you watch closely, there are all sorts of neat little tips and tricks for making awesome records. The idea came from the song Wherever I May Roam, when Hetfield was doing the little harmony bits, da 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 da, and he's got all the strings taped off that he's not using, so he gets a much cleaner single note line. It's a wonderful trick. I highly recommend it to anybody who's into serious studio recording for their guitar.
Hey Glenn, I'm interested in your recommendation for a good frickin' entry-level power amps. I'm attempting to integrate a modeling system into my setup. Fuck you, and thanks.
Hey, William, thanks so much for reaching out. To tell you the truth, for good, solid state power amps, I'm actually looking at the new Seymour Duncan Power Stage stuff. Now, I've had that recommended to me by Trey Xavier over at the Gear Gods channel. He's mentioned it numerous times. Alex Nasla swears by the freaking thing. So I'm going to be putting one on the show very, very soon. I was actually talking to the guys from Seymour Duncan today. So we're going to get one of those on the show in the next couple weeks, and I want to do, a super portable rig where we take a Pod Go and a Seymour Duncan Power Stage and maybe hook up a 2x12, and there's your ultimate portable guitar playing rig for the stage that's not going to take up a lot of space, and it's really going to deliver the goods in terms of power and tone. I think it's just going to be freaking awesome. So make sure you're fucking subscribed. Hit the fucking bell.
Gibson has become like Ford and GM in the 90s, making ugly stuff that barely works and costs an arm and a leg, but they just tell you that doesn't matter because it's American made. So what? It sucks! I'm not sure what's harder to look at, the inside of a 90s Ford Ranger or a Gibson Reverse V.
Sad to say, but I think there is some truth to that statement. Just because it's made in America doesn't mean quality anymore. Now, that really did used to mean something. These days, maybe not so much, because foreign competition has definitely improved. It used to be stuff made in China was total crap. Stuff made in China, a lot of stuff made in China these days the quality has definitely come a very long way. Stuff made in Mexico used to be not so great. Made in Mexico Strats, made in Mexico Fender basses are fucking fantastic. Absolutely love those instruments. So yeah, it's not so much stamped where it's made that matters so much anymore. It's pick it up and does it stay in tune and does it sound good and does it play well. That's what counts.
I live in a third world country and was looking for a new amp, but because of our corrupt government, amps are ridiculously expensive. For example, the Boss Katana 100 2x12 costs $875 US here, or $800 US if you were to order it online. That's a 7-month salary for a teacher here.
I don't even know what to say to that, man, other than thank you so much for putting your situation in perspective. This is the thing. A lot of people from all over the world watch this show, and honestly, I don't know how the pricing works for music gear in a lot of other parts of the world outside of North America. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. I'm going to do some homework and see what I can find for bargain basement gear across the world and see what we can come up with and see what we can find for things that might be a little more affordable for people in other parts of the world. Do you guys like to see that? Let me know. Leave a comment below.
Glenn, I want to become a guitar tech / luthier. Do you have any insight on this field? Recommendations?
Yeah, I am totally the wrong guy to answer that question, to be honest with you. I am a studio guy, not a guitar tech. I mean, I've had to fix a few guitars coming in over the years. You learn by necessity, of course, but I'm not a luthier. I'm not a full-on guitar repair guy. I can tell you how to mic a drum set, no problem, but, how to re-crown some frets or something like that. Oh, I am completely out of my league there. I'd recommend checking out Brad Lindsay, the Guitarologist show, or Trogley's guitar channel as well. I'd shout out both those guys. They're probably far more knowledgeable when it comes to the actual guitar end of the spectrum. Good luck, man.
Yo, Glenn, I'm fairly new to audio engineering. I only use plugins and my DAW is Studio 1.5. I'm having trouble making my drums, particularly the snare, sounding thicker and having more punch. I'm using Stephen Slate drums and have compressors and EQ on it. What am I doing wrong?
Well, Nate, that's the thing about Stephen Slate drums. They're designed to sound good without fucking with them. Seriously, what are you doing wrong? You're putting EQ and compression on stuff that already has EQ and compression on them. Find a drum sound that you like and leave it the fuck alone. Just turn it up and place it in the mix. That's what makes those samples easy, is because all the hard work's been done for you. If you want to check out raw sounds, I might have something coming up in the future. We'll see. All right, everybody, that's it for this episode. Thanks so much for watching. If you got a question, please leave it below. I'll do my best to answer it. And as always, please join the SMG Discord. It is a wonderful resource for recording and mixing advice, especially in the metal genre. Hope to see you guys in there. I'll have links for everything in the description below. And of course, please hit that subscribe button. It'll really help out a lot. Anyway, until next time, get out there and make some metal, you magnificently amazing motherfuckers.